Hello friends, once again. So welcome to the JavaScript part of this age checker app that we've been building along all the way. Okay, now it's time for us to add the JavaScript that brings our project to life. So earlier we created the script.js file, which is where we'll be writing our JavaScript. Now, but before we start writing JavaScript, earlier we linked the HTML with the CSS, right? We linked them together using this line of code. We have to do something similar, but the line of code is a little different. So instead of adding it to the head section of your page like the CSS, you can come down to the body section here before the body ends, and you just add scripts. Okay, you add the opening tag for script and closing tag for script, and then the script is an attribute, is an HTML attribute. So you come to the opening tag and then you now type src and hit enter, and then in between the quotation marks here you type the name of your JavaScript file. Now, as you can see, I named my JavaScript file what? Script.js. Okay, so that's what I'll type in the box, in this space rather. So as I type it, you see it comes up here. That's to tell me I'm correct. Okay, so that way I have successfully linked this HTML file with this JavaScript file. Now if I add a code to this JavaScript, it will apply to this HTML. So make sure you don't miss out on this line of code, okay? And make sure you get your file name correctly, the spellings, and then this should be src, not scr. You have an error. It should be sr c. Now let's come to the JavaScript. The first thing we'll do is to create a variable. Now for this JavaScript, I'll be writing comments to guide us along as we go. Now, comments are not really part of your code. They are just an explanation and a guide, okay? So comments in programming are not exactly part of the code. They do not affect the code, but they are an explanation, they are a guide to help you understand the code better, all right? So to write a comment in JavaScript, you use the 2 slashes, okay? 2 /, okay? And any content, any text I put in front of this double slash is considered a comment. It will not be part of the code. So step 1, we would declare a variable to store the age input of the user. Now look at our application. To remind you, what does it do? You type a number in the box, in the input box, you click the button and it gives you a response. So when I say declare a variable to store the age input of the user, what am I trying to say? If you look at the HTML of our work, this is what gave us the input box. This line of code I have highlighted here is what gave us this particular box, while this button right here gave us this button. Did you get that? Now there's something else we need to add to our project, but we will add that later on. And look, if you see this, when we refresh the page, before we do anything, this place is blank, right? Yes, exactly. But by the time we type a number and we click on the button, we have some content down here. If you look at our HTML, after the button, we don't have any elements. Can you see that? We don't have any tag, okay? So we need to create a p tag. That p tag is where JavaScript will write this message for us. We won't put anything there. We will just add an ID, an attribute, and we can call it app response, okay? You can give it any name you wish anyway, but as long as it's easy for you to remember. Now you can see that in this paragraph is blank. I didn't include any text. And why? Like I said earlier, JavaScript will use this to respond to the user, okay? Just as you can see right here. All right, let's come back to our JavaScript and continue coding. So the first thing says, step 1, declare a variable to store the age input of the user. So to declare a variable, we use the let keyword. Now I can call my variable anything. So then I use the assignment operator. Then I say document dot get elements by ID. Then I add my bracket. Then I add my single quotation mark. Then I come back to the HTML work. Don't forget, I'm trying to get this input and it has an ID named what? Age input. So I highlight it and copy it, come back to script and paste in between the quotation marks. Okay, I paste it between these quotation marks. So with this, I have declared or created a variable that will store the user's age input. Now, step 2, I write another comment. Don't forget, this is a comment. I declare a variable to store the button elements. Very good. So the same thing, I'll call this check button, right? That's the variable name I created. Document.get element by ID. Same process, okay? Don't mix it up. Then what do I do next? Remind me. Good. You go to the HTML, copy the ID name. The reason I'm copying is so I don't make mistakes. So it has to be exactly the same, so I don't make mistakes. Script, and I paste it here. Final variable that we need to create is for this. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the name of the ID, come to script and say step 3, then I do let. So I'm going to call it app response. Document.get elements by ID. Then see the same thing, right? Then I put the name of that ID in between this box. With that, we have successfully created the variables that we need for our work. Take note of these variables that you have created, because we'll be using them later on in the project. Move on now to step 4. So step 4 will be add a click event listener to the check button. Can you remind me where we have the check button in our project? This button, right? So what we are doing now, we want to add what JavaScript calls an event listener, so that when the user clicks on this button, it responds. Okay, so that is the next thing we will be doing. So now look at the variables we created. Have we created a variable for the check button? Yes, we did. That is here, right? We created this variable right here for the check button. Do you recall? So I'm just going to copy this name of the variable, then I'll paste it. I don't need to add let again because I'm not recreating a variable. So here I declare the variable, then here I am using it, or we can use the right term to call the variable that you have what declared. Okay, so I'll then say that check button that I created here, right? And I'll say add event listener. Okay, then which event are we adding? Click event. What that means is that I want that button to respond to a click of the user. Take note, okay? Then I want it to respond to the user's click when we call a particular function. But I'm not going to add the function yet so that you don't get confused. Our next step, step 5, is to create a function. So we say create a function. Don't forget, this is a comment. It's not really part of the code. It's just a guide, just an explanation. Create a function to check the user's age using if-else statements. Okay, that's what we'll be using. So I'm going to create a function. So to create a function, we use the keyword function. All right, don't forget, to create a variable, we use the keyword let. To create a function, we use the keyword function. And then let's give our what function a name. I can call it check user age. That's the name of the function. And I use my my brackets here, and I use my curly brackets here. Within this function right here is where we will write our if statement. So I'm sure you understand what we mean by an if statement. An if statement is just a conditional statement, okay? Allows you to perform a particular action if a condition is true, and then perform another action if the condition is false. So right here, I'll write if, then I add my 2 brackets, then I add my curly brackets right here. So this is the syntax for writing if statement in JavaScript. We then copy this user age input. Don't forget, this is the variable that holds what the user types. So I put it here in this bracket. Then I'll do user age input, which is the variable for what the user types, dot value. What that means is it will take the value of whatever is in this input box. Okay, that's simply what it means. So we say this variable right here, which is the age input of the user, dot the value, that the value is just the number in that box, right? If it is less than 10, okay, if it's less than 10, then what should happen? Then you come back here, then you take this app response here and bring it into our function. If you recall, this app response is the variable that holds what? This ID right here. This ID that we created that is empty, okay? That variable right here holds that content. So we say app response dot text content. Text content is the text that it will show. Then it should be what? Sorry, you are not old enough to play this game. So the message can be anything you want. Now let's test this out, okay? So I'll come here, I'll refresh my page. Don't forget, you save and refresh. So I'll type 2, for example. If I click on the button, it says, sorry, you are not old enough to play this game. And it's telling us that because we said if the user's age input value, what the user types, is less than 10, then what should happen? It should put this text, sorry, you are not old enough to play this game, in this space right here. You know this space is blank, so JavaScript is helping us to fill it up with this content right here. Then that is simply for when it is less than 10. Then you come here, don't forget these curly braces, right? This that starts here and ends here is for this if statement. Then we now need to write a condition for else. So else means if the number is 10 or more than 10, then what should happen? Then the text content of the app response should be what? What do you think it should be? You're welcome. You can play this game. All right. So what this means is that if the user's age is less than 10, then say this. But if the user's age is what? 10 or above, then it should what? Say this. So this else handles when it is 10 or more. So let's come back and refresh this page. Then let's test it out with 9. It says you are not what? Old enough. So let's try 10. Woo! It says you are welcome. You can play this game. Let's refresh and try 20 again. You're welcome. You can play this game. So with that, we've come to the end of this project. That was fun, right? And interesting. Like I said, it's a simple project where you learn some basics about JavaScript programming. So in this project, apart from what we learned in the HTML and CSS, we've learned how to create variables using the let keyword, how to add an event listener to a particular element. In this case, we added it to the check button, which is this button right here. If I go here, this button, we added a click event listener. And then we also learned how to write simple if-else statements which handle different conditions. In addition, we learned how to write a function and then add that function to an event listener. In subsequent projects, we'll learn other amazing things in coding. This was fun, right? So thank you for staying along with me. Once again, my name is Michael Tobechuku, and if you are yet to, make sure you subscribe to this channel and tell all your friends about this channel who like to code, who like programming, and who like all sort of computer stuff. Also, make sure you like this video and share with your friends. See you in another video. Bye.